Good afternoon and welcome to the Above Ground Podcast, Above Ground Leadership Podcast, episode 6. Episode 6. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content. This week's episode is going to be a little different. All right, it's going to be a little different. We got two leaders on, got two guests on the show, two guys that I hold near and dear to me. Not only as I serve the role of friend to them, to these guys, I serve a role as a mentor. I met Josh Dawson and Terrence Williams. Josh, 6 years ago, Terrence maybe 7. And just to watch these young men grow and develop as the leaders that they are is outstanding. I mean, they're doing things in their church community, in their community, and I'll give them a time to talk about that. But that's what this show is about. That's what this episode is about. It's about, leaders leading. All right. And again, your age, your title doesn't really portray that. That your age doesn't say, I'm a leader because, I'm 40 years old or I'm 50 years old or I've had these positions. Right. You lead from where, from your vantage point, from where you stand. All right. So today's topic, right, we're going to go over, Colin Powell's leadership primer. If you watch any of the other episodes, if you've known me throughout my years, Colin Powell is one of those mentors of mine that I've never met, right? He's somebody that I really looked highly into, right? He's somebody that when I look at, I saw success when I was a young soldier, and it was something that I mimicked. And one of the things I remember finding this slide right here, this PowerPoint presentation, I found this in 2001, right? I remember my mom, she printed up and made me a calendar of it, right? I had this PowerPoint and I used it. I used this as my my study guide or my crutch as a leadership guide. And what we'll do, we're going to break this down into a couple episodes, but we're going to go over 6 today. All right, we're going to go over 6 today. So that's going to be my convo, the convo kicker. And so right now, I'm going to open it up to Josh and Terrence so they can kind of introduce themselves, say a little bit, and we're going to get right into this thing. All right, Josh, Terrence, let's talk about leadership.
Terrence, I'll let you go first, my man.
So, well, first of all, I'm Terrence Williams, I've been knowing Ray for a long time. And as far as being a leader, it's just been something that I kind of been called into, not something I necessarily prepared for or knew something I needed to do, but it's just, I saw, windows of opportunity, people needed guidance, starting with my young sisters, and as a big brother, you led them. So throughout my life, I've just noticed that, people look up to me, people listen to me. So I've taken that with a certain responsibility that I have to conduct myself a certain way. And, looking up to people like Ray, of course, having people in my life that have helped me get to this place. It's an honor to be on the show and speak amongst great leaders. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great job, Terrence. Great job. And of course, as he's mentioned, I'm Joshua Dawson. And being a leader is something that I always had to do in my whole entire life. Growing up in Kinston, a lot of people may know where it is, but being here, a lot of people fall astray. But it's not a lot of men, so you have to step up and do what you got to do. And I'll give all that credit to my mom. She always pushed me not to follow the crowd, but always do what's right. You can always face those challenges where things, we can always take the wrong detour. But she always said, at the end of the day, they might call you what they call you, but continue to be a leader and they pay you off. And as Coach Ray said, he was also a mentor, but he's more like a dad. He's more than a mentor. It's a little bit bigger than a mentor for me because when we met, he knew I was going through a lot. He never changed on me. So he encouraged me, even in those days where you didn't want to do it or you didn't feel like doing it, to keep doing it. It won't always be easy, but it'll be worth it. And I still tell him thank you to this day.
No doubt, man. I tell you, man, I'm proud of you guys. Just seeing your growth. That's a whole nother show. I could talk hours about the growth that I've seen from the both of you, right? But that's what it's about. And I seen it right from, I guess, again, from my vantage point, but it's somebody else who you don't know, right? It's somebody else who you don't know who's watching and who's seeing it, who's saying, man, Josh made it, man. T made it, man. I can do this, right? I can do this. So we're gonna go right into this thing. All right. We're going right into it. Step one, being responsible sometimes means pissing people off, right? Good leadership involves responsibility to the welfare of the group, which means that some people will get angry at your actions and your decisions. It's inevitable. If you're honorable, trying to get everyone to like you is a sign of mediocrity. You'll avoid tough decisions. You'll avoid confronting the people who need to be confronted. And you'll avoid offering deferential rewards based on deferential performance, because some people might get upset. Ironically, by procrastinating on these difficult choices, by trying not to get anyone mad, by treating everyone equally nicely, regardless of their contribution, you simply ensure that the only people you'll wind up angering are the most effective and productive people in the organization. I read all that one because like this one here, this one's always stuck out to me. Like I think when I found this in 2001 or 2002, when I found this lesson right here is the one that made me say, man, I got to read on.
Right.
Because too many leaders, and I was just talking to somebody else that I mentored the other day about confrontation, right? Leadership tough, right? Leadership is tough, and you have to know when to fight battles, but you can't be afraid to fight battles, right? And sometimes when the standard, like when you set a standard, right, and the standard is not being met, you have to say something. You
right.
know, if in speaking in basketball, Josh, if you have to run a 6-minute mile, right, and you don't run a 6-minute mile, if I let you run 7 minutes, I done created a new standard.
Right.
Right.
Now everybody else feel like they can do it.
Right. And it might make you mad, but at the end of the day, as a leader, sometimes you have to, you have to make people mad, right? To get that point across. And so that's one of those real, confrontation is a part of leadership that you just can't avoid, right? You just can't avoid. And it's one of those things that you just have to get done, right? You just have to, as a leader, you have to go out there and get the job done, do whatever it takes. And that's what leadership is. And so I take account to that, whether it's running a mad league, whether it's in practice, regardless, whatever I do, I'm going to hold you to the standard. You're going to be held to the standard. Now, I'm going to be the loudest one clapping for you. I'm going to clap for you, pat you on your back when you do right. I'm going to do all those things. But at the same, when you do wrong, you're going to get the same, right? You're going to get the same. And it may be in a different tone, because, it may be in a different room or a different approach. I might text you and say, hey, Josh, man, you shouldn't have said that, right? Hey, Josh, right. You probably should do this way. Hey, Terrence, man, nah, don't do that, right? You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I'm not, as a leader, right, I'm not going to allow the standard to be not met, right, and not say anything, because then again, you create a double standard. All right. So which one of y'all want to tackle this first?
Josh, you let me get last one first, so you got this one.
And that one, speaking back on what you said, that really it shows lack of growth. If you don't make people mad, sometimes you'll never really get them out of that comfortable shell that they're in. And speaking on me, of course, I play basketball, but a lot of times you're gonna make people mad. People are gonna be lazy; they ain't gonna want to be there. It's gonna be a lot of days where they don't want to do anything. If I allow one person to not want to be there, imagine how contagious that becomes to everybody else. Now, it's not just one person; it's everybody else. And that's why it's really, at the age that we're at, it's kind of hard to hold people accountable, but it's a must. It's mandatory. Where we at right now, people are so accustomed to doing things the wrong way, and they're fine with it. They're just letting it go. But being a leader, you gotta put people in the right place. You gotta tell people that that's not right. And of course, you're gonna lose people along the way. And that's one thing I was just talking to my cousin the other day, and he was like, when you make people mad, you're gonna lose people, and that's okay, because some people outgrow people. But
everybody can't go with you.
Everybody can't go with you. And that's one thing he said, and that really stuck out to me. Everybody can't go with you where you're going at. And that's why I was saying, when you sent me this, coach, being responsible sometimes means pissing people off, this one really stuck out to me, and I had to go read the other ones because it's going to happen. Everybody's not going to like the decisions that we make, and all our decisions aren't right. But if we continue to push forward and to be the leaders that we are, it'll always pay off.
No doubt. No doubt. So
Yeah, everything you said is spot on. As a leader, I feel like in order to, set standards for other people, you first have to set the standard within yourself, right? So for me, like when I decided that I was, like Ray, you mentioned, like I'm very involved in church, I'm really taking this thing serious. I made a lot of people mad because they were like, well, we used to do these things together. We used to go here. We used to say that. And I was like, look, man, I know that's what we used to do, but I'm not doing that no more. I'm going in a different direction with my life. And, to this day, when I see what people are doing and I may question their activity or, hey, what's going on here? They get mad. And it's like, well, what am I going to just sit here and watch you run into a wall? Am I going to tell you something? I feel like Josh said, in this society, people want to, like the term is normalize. They say normalize pretty much. I seen one meme that said normalize telling people I'm not coming anymore just because I don't want to. It's pretty much normalize not keeping your word anymore. And I look at that and I'm like, so pretty much what the world wants us to be is just be comfortable and being lazy and mediocre.
Right.
Now I just can't go by that. I can't teach my daughter to be mediocre. I want upstanding people around me and my family. I want to be an upstanding person myself. So I feel like as a leader, you have to stand by that. And first it starts with yourself, but then when you do that yourself, you're able to hold other people accountable too. And like Josh said, everybody can't go with you because honestly, when you really break it down, everybody doesn't want to be successful. Everybody really doesn't care to make it in life. Like for me, I always think about how I'm going to feel in my deathbed. Like I don't want to be in my deathbed saying, oh, I wish I'd have did that. I wish I'd have held myself to a higher. No, I'm going to do it now. So that's why I tell everybody. And if people don't want to do that, that's fine. And honestly, we just probably don't talk like that anymore. I can't be around people that aren't going where I'm going. So yeah.
And I still wish the best for you. It's all love.
It's all love.
It's all
we
love.
just can't rock like that no more.
That's powerful. That's good. And so, but I'm gonna say this before we go to the next one. At you guys' age, you're where the rubber meets the road when it comes to leadership, right? Because the people that I may be trying to reach or they're your age, right? So while you're leaders, you're community leaders, and you're leaders in your community, you're leaders in your school, you're leaders in your church, it's other guys your age or women your age that's looking at like, man, they either on the fence they're either with you or they're against what you're saying, right? And it takes some real intestinal fortitude to stand by what you're doing and stand on what's right. You know what I mean? Stand on what's right. Yeah, that's big. That's big. That's big. So we're gonna move to the next one. Step 2. It says soldiers, but it's soldiers. It's team. It's your players. The day soldiers stop bringing you their problem is the day you have stopped leading them. They either lost confidence that you can help them or concluded that you don't care. Either case is a failure of leadership. All right, I won't read all of this one, but I'll read some of it. If this was a litmus test, the majority of CEOs would fail. One, they would build so many barriers to upward communication that the very idea of someone lower in the hierarchy looking up to the leader for help is ludicrous. All right, so this one here is, again, I've always say this. I think I post this a million times. You can't lead without loving. They're tied together. Like you can't truly lead without loving. And it goes back to the first one, right? It goes back to the first step. Some leaders that don't really care, they have an issue with pissing people off, right? Because like, if I came to Terrence and said, hey man, what you just did was foul, right? We've built a relationship that he know I care. So if I'm telling you that, it's foul.
Right.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I like if I told Josh that, yeah, I care about your feelings, Josh, but I care about you more than your feelings.
Right.
Your feelings will eventually subside. You will eventually come around, right? You can't, man, if I ever found, let alone my kids, but my players, people I love, anybody that falls under me in any kind of perspective or any kind of position, they have an issue that they didn't bring to me that I probably could have helped them with. I will feel a way about that, because as a leader, I want to be open, right? I want to be honest. I want you to know that, look, I'm just like you.
Right.
I'm just like you. I try to make sure people, it's funny. I went out to California and met Terrence and you met Teray, Josh, and Sean, and so I just know, Josh, you don't met everybody, right?
Right.
You're your brothers and sisters, right? So, but that's who I am, right? So that's how you have to be as a leader. You can't, you can't be this twofold type of leader. You can't put on your work hat and then you leave work, you put on your family hat. That doesn't work. That's acting, right? That's acting, and so when people know you're not genuine, that's when this here happens. That's when they don't bring you them problems.
Yeah.
Man, hey, I ain't telling Coach this, or I ain't telling Ray this. Man, he don't care. Like, what I'm telling him for? You know what I mean? He don't really care, right? And that's something that we really need to be dialed in and tuned into as leaders, taking care of your people. Because at the end of the day, like whatever you're doing, if you're in a business with a staff, on a coach with a team, the people run the show.
Right.
You can have the best X's and O's, you can have the best business plan. The people run the show. You have to take care of them. You got to take care of them, and you can't fail them. You can't fail them with that leadership. All right, who's up? What you think?
So I'll go this first. So it's like I've been following the podcast up to this week, and one of the overlying themes has been like accessibility to leaders. You got to be able to feel like I can talk to you, and it's not going to be like I'm talking to a mountain. I'm looking up to you. Conversation. It's like, no, I can talk to you like a real person. And honestly, Ray, that's something I've learned a lot from you. Is you're very like to be like who you are and as successful as you've been in life. you don't walk around like $1 million. Like you really are a very humble person. So that's something I've always modeled. Like, no matter how good I've been in life, no matter what amazing things I've done or however I feel about myself, I still have to be a down-to-earth person in order to reach people. And I feel like it's just like in like a basketball, as a point guard, you got to get the team involved. Like, you're only as strong as your weakest link. I need my shooting guard to know he can shoot. I need my big man to feel like he's rebounding well, so he keeps running back and down the court. I need him getting the rock. It's just things like that. So I feel like in order for people to come to you, they have to trust you. They have to know you're not phony, like you said. And for me, most of the time when I'm talking to people, I try to make sure I'm giving them authentic answers. I don't want to give everybody just like some programmed response, like a church language, like just pray about it. Like I'm gonna tell you, but look, I'm gonna tell you. But I'm gonna give you some real life conversation. Like, well, look, honestly, I've been through something like that too, and these are things that help me. And just being able to really, and I feel like it all comes down to where you are internally. I don't feel like you can do any of these things if you're at war with yourself. You have to come to a place of security in oneself in order to help anybody else. So that's pretty much my answer.
That's good. Yep. That's good.
For me, growing up, it was really funny. The teachers, right? So more so teachers and coaches. It was more so when I was growing up, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. No matter how you feel, no matter what you say, that's what it is. We didn't really have an option of what we could and couldn't say or do. But now, and going back to what Terrence said, Coach B, you're really, really humble, really down to earth. And, like I said, man, when we first met, my attitude was out of this world. It was out of this world. But being who you are, you helped me realize that when you truly care about somebody, they'll do anything for you or with you. So me now being a coach, being a leader, when I talk with kids, I want them to understand that it's not a do what I say world anymore. Mm-hmm. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk. We're going to meet eye to eye. We're going to work through this thing together. And as I sit down and the more children I interact with, the more that you sit down with them, you let them know that we're all humans, that we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. I sit down and I tell them the mistakes I made, right, what I did wrong, what I feel like I could have did better, that I should have did better, that I didn't do. And they realize, well, dang, Coach, you really do care about me. And I tell my kids all the time, don't just call me about basketball stuff. Call me about real life issues. Call me when you're hungry. Call me when you can't, when you feel like you can't talk to somebody. And when you know that they actually care about somebody, and they know that you care, they'll do anything for you. And that's one of the biggest things right now. We just got to keep showing our youth that we're there. And it's not just any materialistic things. You don't got to show them with materialistic stuff. It's more so with our youth. They just want our time. And that's one of the biggest things with being a leader right now. You got to be willing to give that time to the youth, because like Coach said, man, if they can't trust you, they don't want to talk to you about anything. They're not going to tell you anything. And that goes back to what we were saying with the 6 minute mile, Coach. If I let you get away with the 6 minute mile, eventually I'm gonna let you get away with something else. Then you're gonna really start to question, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing? It ain't even about you no more. Now am I holding my own self accountable? Because I keep letting you get away with this. You're not even holding your own self accountable. So now we just gotta realize that, I mean, our youth are looking up to us, and that's who we need. We just gotta be there for them.
No doubt, no doubt. And that's powerful. And at the end of the day, it's about taking care of your people. Right. And kind of what Terrence said, you can't take care of your people if you don't take care of yourself. Right. And
right.
I say that I make a point, and this is what I'm gonna say it in this episode. I make a point to say this. Your audio and your video gotta match. Right. You can't be preaching one thing and living another thing. Right. They have to match. All right. They have to match. That's very, very important to me. You can't go out and live a certain way and then come out and say, hey, no, you can't do that kind of stuff. Hey, coach, you were just doing that. You know what I mean? So it's you just really have to line up to that. All right, step 3. Don't be buffaloed by the experts and the elites. Experts often possess more data than judgments. Elites can become so inbred that they produce hemophiliacs who bleed to death as soon as they are nicked by the real world. So this one here is, put it into perspective to many of the viewers. This one here is when it talks about expert, don't be buffaloed by them. In basketball, you meet a coach, right? In basketball, you meet a coach, and sorry about that. In basketball, you meet a coach, and he has it. He knows all this. He knows how to run this stuff. He knows how to do these things. But you have some ideas, right? And whether he listens or not, you can't just go by and blindly follow your leader, right? Right. To be a great leader, you have to be able to follow, right? To be a great leader, you have to be able to follow. But you also got to know what to put in your kit bag, right? What to put in your kit bag, what to take away, and what not to do, right? And because sometimes, and we've experienced this as players, right? You'll have a coach or a leader that's so old school, right? That they can't really, what's the word? Relate to their team, to their players. They can't relate to the changing times, right? And one thing about being a leader, you have to evolve, right? You have to evolve. So I'll pass that one on. I think, Josh, you up on this one. I'll pass that on to you. What you think?
With being a leader, you just can't think you know it all. Sometimes you're not gonna be right all the time. And that's the thing about being a leader. Sometimes you're gonna make mistakes, but we got to be willing to face our mistakes that we make. And it goes back to what you were saying with the old coaches and the young players. Sometimes some people are just so set in their ways that they don't want to change. And that's what Terrence said. A lot of people don't want to be successful. So everybody, you're not going to be able to reach everybody, but reach who you can reach.
Right.
And again, don't think you know it all, because like when me and you met, I didn't think you knew it all, but I thought I did. So now I had to learn from you. But then you taught me that I'm not going to only learn from my elders. I'm going to also learn from the youth. So now when I learned that you're going to also learn from the youth, now you can connect better, and it's easier to be a leader that way. Now it's not just, and it goes back to say, you're not just going to listen to what I got to say. I want to hear your side of the story, and you can hear my side of the story, and then we can figure out the right way to do things.
No doubt.
Yeah. Well, touching on not to be buffaloed by experts and elites, I feel like a lot of times, for me growing up, I kind of had to get over that. I had to realize that, I had to kind of, what's the word? I'm a leader too. Like I can do that too, And I wrestle with that because sometimes it's like, you don't want to come off as disrespectful. Like, you got to be able to follow, like you said, but also realize sometimes the person that you're looking up to might not know it all. Like sometimes you might, be on to something that might work. So one thing I figured out about leadership is like a lot of times as leaders, we have to realize that we don't really have anybody to look ahead to, because we're the leader. Like sometimes you just walk in, and like you don't know what you're doing, you don't know if it's gonna work out. And that's why I had to break on myself. Like I was realizing like I'm following people who aren't going where I want to go. So I had to kind of take my own route. But then once I got on that route, I was like, dang, like I'm like, I don't really know where I'm going. But then you realize, okay, that means I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, kind of, making sure I'm still checking my check marks. But yeah, I think like, we all have to have that self-confidence in ourselves to know that, at some point we got to take the lead on some things. You can't just wait for somebody to tell you this is what you're supposed to do. Sometimes you got to say, no, I'm going to go ahead and do it just because I know it's right to do.
And to couple with that, Terrence, and to couple with that, you can't be afraid to make the mistakes. Like you got to know that, I'm probably going to screw some of this up. I'm probably going to mess this, but it's part of it.
Yeah.
I was just telling Miko the other day, I said, I don't lose.
Right.
I win or I learn.
I learn. There's no losses in life.
Ain't no L's. We ain't taking no L's. I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to come back and win. Right?
Right.
I'm going to come back and win. So we're going to do one more. Okay. All right. So this couples with the last one.
Yes, it does.
Don't be afraid to challenge the pros, even in their own backyard. Learn from the pros, observe them, seek them out as mentors and partners. But remember that even the pros may have leveled out in terms of their learning skills. Sometimes even the pros can become complacent and lazy. Leadership does not emerge from blind obedience to anyone, right? Listen, I know I'm a great follower. I can follow, right? I believe as a good leader, you have to be able to follow. But with that being said, right? So almost like the show, you got to show me, you got to prove, you got to show me that you know what you're talking about. Because kind of going back to what Terrence just said, I ain't just going to blindly follow you. Right. I ain't going to blindly follow you. So what you got on that one?
Yeah. You can't be scared. I think that's the overlying thing, like to break that mold of like thinking like you got to, bow down to people who say, just because like I always feel like in basketball for me, if I found out who the guy was on the other team, I wanted to check him. Because I was like, let me just see. Like, let me see. Like, you know what I mean?
Let me see what he got. What are you doing, man?
Let me just find out. Because if he don't got it, then I'm like, all right, bet we're here. And I've taken that mentality everywhere in life. Like even if I'm doing something I'm not necessarily a professional at, I'm like, well, I know myself. I know if I get good at it, I know I could be the best. That's just how I feel. That's just the mindset I take with me everywhere. I know if I could learn it, I get good at it, and I'll be better than everybody here. So it's just having the confidence in yourself to say, I might not be where I'm supposed to be right now. And like you said, I never lose. I just learn. And you better hope I don't keep learning because eventually I'm gonna learn more than you. So it's just like, so like even where I'm at now with the whole church thing and preaching and whatnot, I don't care if it's TD Jakes, Joel Osteen. I feel like I'm coming for all of them, like, and not in like a competition way, but like, why not? Like they're human beings. They put their draws on just like me. So that's how I feel about it.
No doubt. That's good.
And I totally agree with that, Terrence, 100%. And it goes back to what you were saying. And everything you were saying was spot on. But it's not being disrespectful. It's just we got our time, and this is our time to do what we got to do. There's no disrespect in it. It's just, and it's funny, Coach, because when we used to always work out, Terrence, we used to always work out. I always ask, Coach, you working out? You working out? What are you doing? And it's funny that this is coming out that you got to challenge the pros, because even sometimes, like maybe sometimes he didn't want to be there. In those days, I'm gonna ask him, what are you doing? Those were the days that he could push himself to get there. And it's gonna be days where it's people around us that don't want to be around. Mm-hmm. You just ask them a simple question: how your day going? What's up with you today? Is everything okay? And that knocks them into a good day. And that's what us as leaders have to do. We got to challenge people. And again, that goes back to what you were saying, Terrence. We got to challenge ourselves first. Right. We got to be willing to face our own challenges first. Because if you can't challenge yourself, you can't challenge anybody. You can't hold anybody else accountable if you can't hold yourself accountable. And that's what we're working on right now.
Man, that's awesome. All right, step five. Never neglect the details. When everyone's mind is dulled or distracted, the leader must be doubly vigilant. Strategies equals execution. All great ideas and visions in the world are worthless if they cannot be implemented rapidly and efficiently. Good leaders delegate and empower others liberally, but they pay attention to the details every day. Think of some of the supreme athletic coaches: Jimmy Johnson, Pat Riley, Tony La Russa. The bad ones, even those who fancy themselves as progressive visionaries, think they're somehow above operational details. So, I talk about this all the time. Like leadership and everything, and success, not necessarily leadership, but success is all about your details. Look, the big things will happen. Like if you talk about basketball, right? Like you're gonna shoot the ball, all right? You're gonna play defense. It's the details. Success is in the details. Like when you're coming up with a business plan, or you coming up with a plan for your success or your goals, steps to your goals, it's the details that normally get overlooked, right? That you stump your toe on, that halts you and make you say, man, I wouldn't even, I didn't see that coming, right? Because great leaders never have a task too large for them or too small for them, right? Because one of the mistakes I see people, I said, look, as assistant coach, I came from military. I was a commissioned officer. I came as assistant coach. I washed uniforms. I got up early. I ran the workouts at 5:30 in the morning. There was nothing that I wouldn't do because I wanted to be successful, right? So, when in your ability, in your approach to being successful, you have to have the ability to just work and work on everything. Don't pass a task off because you don't want to do it. Like you feel it's too big for you. It's too small for you. You're bigger than that, right? Now that ain't saying don't delegate, right? You delegate all the time, right? But don't delegate it because you think it's too small for you, right? Because that's how you ultimately become lost.
Right.
It will be things going on in your team, things going on in your business, things going on in your church that you don't know about because last month you passed that off. Last year you passed that off, and this person kept running with it, and they're doing it. Then when you come back to it, you're like, oh, what's going on here? So as a leader, you got to have a broad spectrum of, across your battlefield, but at the same time, you got to understand and know what's going on within the details. All right, who got this one first?
I got the first this one. This is funny, Coach, because I was just talking with my sister yesterday. We sat down and we talked for a little while. And we was planning for 30. And I'm just like, 30 has to be the big goal, but I'm 26 right now. So what do I do in 27, 28, and 29 to get prepared for 30?
Right.
I can't skip the small steps just to get to the big step.
Don't work.
You got to take it step by step, because a lot of people want to just, and that's what you used to always tell us, to trust the process. You used to say every single day, trust the process. Don't nobody want to go through the process with you, but everybody want to be there with you when you win.
They want the end though.
They want the end though. And it's funny because I was telling her that you can't plan for 30 without planning for 27. Right. I don't want to say that I'm gonna do this at 30, but I don't know what I'm gonna do in those next few years to be able to get to what I want to do at 30. And it's funny that you said basketball, because shooting the ball is the easiest part of the game. Get the easiest shot is where that's where the money made at.
Josh, how many times do I say, man, it's all in your feet?
It's all in your feet. They're like, oh my gosh, why can't I make it? It's your feet. It's the small details. Like everybody want to be a good shooter, but they don't want to put in that time to be that good shooter. Right. And everybody want to be a good leader, but everybody don't want to put in that good time to be a leader because we miss details. We don't want to listen to somebody else. Leaders just want to lead. And it goes back to say what you were saying. You got to be able to be a good follower. Okay. And being a good follower, you got to, and you're not going to take everything that you hear. Don't get me wrong. Everything, and that's what you said earlier. You're not going to take everything you hear. You're going to meet people. It's going to be good and bad. You got to take the good. You got to leave the bad, and that's okay.
No doubt.
You can't take every single thing that somebody tells you, but you got to take the small details in order to get to the big picture.
No doubt. That's the gospel right there, man. That is the gospel right there. Go ahead, Terrence.
So it's when y'all talked about, everybody want to take the shot. The first thing that popped in my head is shooting is really footwork, Like when the game is moving fast, if your feet aren't set, it's not going to be a good shot.
Not at all.
I compare that to like footwork is kind of like we mentioned the details. But the thing about practicing footwork and coming off screens and having your feet set is it's boring. It's not fun. Like people don't go to the gym and say like, oh, let me work on coming off a down screen today. Let me work on putting my right foot, then left foot, then right. Like that's not the thought. It's just shoot. But it's really the feet work that make the shot more accurate when you take off. And that's kind of like in life. Like I think even in the quote, it says when everyone's mind is dulled or distracted, the leader must be doubly vigilant. And, vigilant is like a sense of awareness, like knowing what's going on and not being like kind of blindsided by anything. But the thing about that is like the reason why people are blindsided and stuff is because they get bored. Like the details are boring. It's not fun doing the same thing every day. Like me being a parent, I realized like, raising a kid, like it's the same thing every day. I feed her, I change her diaper, but it's just constant. It's like repeat. And I think like a lot of people fall off of things because they don't have the I don't know what it is. It's just like the discipline to do it every day. So I think like for good leaders, it's just, being cool with the little victories, not always looking for like the celebration or the parade, but it's like, if today was a successful day, then should we celebrate in that successful day, because ultimately that's getting us, like Josh said, we can't plan for 30 without planning for, like, why not? We need to have a good 26, to have a good 27, 28, 29, we have to, it has to be the little things on the way. So that's what I think of as a leader is just, not looking towards the mountain ahead, but realizing it's the small things on the way that get you to where you want to be.
No doubt. And so, man, when I tell you, y'all hit that like on the head, right? My quote today, I posted quotes on social media. I'm going to read this. My quote today was, we do not develop anything with one giant step. No matter who you are or what you do, each one of us has to take a lot of individual steps to be successful in whatever's in front of us. When you're working towards your goal, do not say you will do anything and then act like you did everything. Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. So, man, it's funny because people want to take the elevator to success.
Right.
Like, hey man, ain't no elevator. You gotta get on them stairs. Like that's the only way you can make it. You gotta get on the stairs.
There's a lot of stairs out there.
Yeah, you gotta get on the stairs and walk them stairs to success. Because what they don't understand, right? What you gonna find out at 26, at 27, 28, 29 is the mistakes you make then gonna teach you at 30. You know what I mean? The things that I did when I was opened up the barbershops, when I was a young leader, when I was coaching in high school, it's things that I did then that I know I learned, we're going to win and we're going to learn from those instances. You know what I'm saying? So it is very important to go through the process. You can't skip the process. And then you can't rush the process. You can't rush through it. You got to learn. You got to live through it. You got to open your eyes. You got to enjoy it because there's so much that's happening in this process. Terrence used the thing of parenting. Look, that's a new class every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but again, those are the details, and that's very important. Man, that was great. Y'all did a great job on that, right? Step 6. You don't know what you can get away with until you try. This is me all day. You know the expression. It's easier to get forgiveness than permission. Well, it's true. Good leaders don't wait for official blessings to try things out. They're prudent. They're not reckless. But they also realize a fact of life in most organizations, if you ask enough people for permission, you'll inevitably come up against someone who believes it's their job to say no, right? So I'm going to keep reading this. To say no. So the moral is don't ask. Less effective middle managers endorse the sentiment, if I haven't explicitly been told yes, I can't do it. whereas the good ones believe if I haven't explicitly been told no, I can. There's a world of difference in the 2 points. Now, I wouldn't tell anybody to go out and break no rules, right? That's not what this is about. But what it is about is, and this is a later step, leaders you gotta make a decision. Like it's somebody come into your office and say, hey, coach or pastor, or I need this done, right? And you may not have all of the information. Now, you can't be reckless and just go and make a decision with no information, right? But sometimes you got to make a decision and make a call, and if it's not right and nobody, I mean, you ain't breaking no law and nobody ain't gonna get hurt or killed, you got to be able to ask for forgiveness the next day. You know what I'm saying? And that's leadership. But that's what makes leadership tough, and that's what makes leadership so dynamic, because you have to really get out of your comfort zone. See, your comfort zone is to stay somewhere and say, oh man, I can't do that. And then they say, why you can't do it? Shoot, because ain't nobody else ever did that before, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
They ain't never did it, don't make it right. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, and I'm a firm believer of that. Like I don't believe in just doing stuff because that's the way it's been done, or that, you know, it's been done that way, but are we elite? Right? Is it excellent? Because if it's not elite or excellent, we need to try to become elite or excellent. So again, you don't know what you can get away with until you try. Who got this one first?
Is it me or you, Josh?
You can go too. That's fine.
Okay. So yeah, I feel like for this one, I've had to kind of hold myself in on this, because when I was younger, I was trying to get away with everything, like to a point where I was getting in a lot of trouble. Like I was jumping the gun on a lot of things, you know, just because out of recklessness, like you said, Ray. But as I've gotten older, I realized that that's a good. I like that about myself, that I'm not scared, but I also have to be smart. So it's just been taking like what I've learned, and really, like you said, it's through the mistakes. Like I feel like in order to really get good at this as a leader, you have to get some things wrong. You know, you don't know like what a good decision is until you made a few bad ones. And then it's like, oh, okay, I see. I would have did that different. I did that different. Now, next time I have a chance, I feel like you're a little more sober on what it is that you need to try. You know, so that's my opinion on that one.
And to that, before you go, Josh, I'm gonna interject before you go. Is going back to the conversation you and Shima had about 26 to 30, right?
Right.
As Terrence hit on, it's mistakes that you have to make. It's mistakes that you need to make.
Right.
Right? Before you're ready to be elite. Before you're ready to say, okay, I'm here. Right?
Right.
And as a leader, it's things that we have to go through. Mm-hmm. Right? It's things that you have to face. Right? It's things as a leader that the anger and being mad as a leader that I had to go through to be able to tell Josh, hey man, like we can't lead everybody the same way. You know what I mean? It's some people that we know, Josh, we can get in their face, we can tell them, hey, this ain't it. And some guys we can't do that to. Some guys we gotta say, hey man, just catch the ball. Bro, just catch the ball. Right? That's all I need you to do, just catch the ball. Right? But that's not how I go. All right, Josh, go ahead.
And T, that goes back to what you were saying earlier, man. When you and your friends start taking those different paths, man, that's one of the biggest things about being a leader, man. Being willing to take those steps in the blind, but step with faith. I mean, we're stepping out here in faith, but we don't really know what the outcome going to be. But we know if we win, we're winning. If we lose, we're learning, or we're not losing. So that's one of the biggest things, man. Being a leader, people are not going to want to take those steps that we take, but we got to take them. And when we make mistakes, that's a part of life. We got to realize that we're all humans. Nobody's perfect. We came here to make mistakes. So when you make those mistakes, just don't continue to make the same mistakes. And that's where the leadership role comes in. Making mistakes that's not an easy thing to get over. I mean, it's not easy, but you got to get through it. You can't live in those mistakes, because the more you beat on yourself, the only worse you're gonna get. So as we make those mistakes, we just got to continue to move forward. And again, we stepping forward in the dark, man. I mean, leaders, it's hard to follow people because you're the leader, as you said earlier, T. So when you're stepping out there in the dark, you just got to step out there with faith and knowing that, I mean, we're gonna have good fortune. It's gonna turn out good, and if it doesn't, we're gonna learn from what happened, and then we're gonna, as you said, Coach, we're gonna go back and win it the next time.
Right, no doubt. And
Ray, can I add something real quick to that?
oh, yeah, go ahead. That's what it's for.
Now, as we was reading this, I realized, like, even in my thinking about this this conversation, I realized being a leader isn't necessarily like a fun job sometimes.
Oh,
Right.
And that's the mistake I think that people make when they like, because we look up to people in life. It's like, man, if I just was this, or if I was just that. But a lot of times you don't really understand like what it takes to be that, So like for people who are trying to lead, I would say like if it feels uncomfortable, that's how it's kind of supposed to feel. And you have to grow to be okay with that uncomfortability and doing things that like you really don't know how it's gonna turn out.
no
Right.
doubt. And and that's funny, man, because that's what leadership is. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership is again, I'll just use coaching. I say, yeah, the 10% of it is the sideline, the suits, being over there. That's the 10%, right? The 90% is all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Right. That's just the end result. And in leadership, that again, they see the office and they say, okay, I see that, and I want that, right? Yeah, but do you want them late hours? Do you want, as a soldier, guy calling saying, hey, sorry, I ain't got nowhere to go. Me and my family, we out. We got evicted, right? Like, that's part of it. And so, but that's what leadership is, and as you said, it's not fun. It's challenging, but at the end of the day, when you really buy into it and you really get into it, it's rewarding. All right, it's fulfilling. All right, you can change lives, you can impact lives. Coach, lead, and mentor. Coach, lead, and mentor. And because when you really care and you genuinely care, people will follow. And I'll close, with this before I turn it to you guys. You got to be genuine and you got to love, because nobody cares unless they know you care. Right.
Right.
That's just the absolute truth. I don't care what you're doing, where you're at. When people know you care, when they genuinely know you care, they'll run through a wall for you, right? They'll run through a wall because they say, man, look, I ain't got to worry about, this personal thing or this here, because Terrence got my back. He said, I'm good with this. Josh, coach said, I ain't got to worry about that. He told me to just make practice. I got this, right? I ain't got to worry about how I'm going to get home or this and that. That's all part of it, right? They're small things, but they're big things, right? Mm-hmm. They're small things, but they're big things. Well, that's going to end this episode. This will be part 1, and we'll pick up part 2. Part 2 would be 7 through 11. No, 7 through 14, or whatever it is. Whatever. Got that Florida math going on, right? But we'll pick up the next 6, 7 through 12. There we go. We'll pick up the next 6, and we'll do that. But guys, I want to tell y'all, man, this has been everything I thought it would be, right? I wanted to get young leaders out here, get someone who's making an impact in the community, with people of their age, right? Because again, it's not enough young men, women out there that's not afraid to step out and lead. Because as you said, there's no God that you can follow, right? Especially with y'all generation. Y'all generation is outspoken, entitled, right? So it's tough, right? But it's work. And I applaud you all. I ain't nothing but love for the both of you. Proud of to be able to watch you grow as young men and leaders in your community. So at this time, I'll turn it over and let you kind of any closing remarks that you may have.
Go ahead, Josh.
As you stated, Coach, always love. Definitely thank you for having us. Thank you for having me. And leadership is not going to always be easy, as we stated. It's not going to always be easy, but somebody got to do it. There's one thing I always, on the days I don't want to do it, I always put in my mind that somebody has to do it. And why not? Why not let it be me? Why would I put that responsibility on somebody else when I got the responsibility in my own court to do it and have it done? So, again, Coach, thank you. Thank you for all you've done for me. I ain't gonna tell the world, but we go way back. So thank you. And I'm looking forward to 7 through 12. I don't know if it's 7 through 14. You just let us know.
Well, you know what, man. Hey, we messed up them votes, man. You know, we messed up them votes in Florida. Look, I can use my, hey, I was under the camera, like, I got it though. I got it.
Yeah. No, thank you. Sheesh. I mean, a lot of times, we do what we do. We wonder if what we're doing is impacting people. So the fact that I would even be invited on the show, that means like, it's an honor. I'm really grateful for it. Ray, you know how I feel about you. I've always looked up to you. Growing up without a dad, I've always kind of clung to people. I'm like, let me just, you want to model yourself after somebody who's doing what you want to do.
Right.
And, you've been that for me, and you mean the world to me. So I just appreciate you having me on the show, and yeah, it means a lot. Thank you.
Hey man, so look, I was gonna ask y'all off air, right? Once we got off, did y'all want to do 7 through 12? But y'all already said that we doing 7 through 12.
Yeah, 7 through 12. Just let me know.
That'll be part 2 of this episode. So again, folks, thanks for tuning in. This here has been again, everything that I thought it was. Anything that you wanna talk about? Any comments? Leave it to the comment section. Personal message me. Also, we got the Instagram page for Above Ground Leadership, Facebook page for Above Ground Leadership. Go on those pages. Again, please like the videos and subscribe to the channel. Y'all have a great day. Be great today.